So I've been kind of nervous to share this, but I keep seeing this brand's greenwashy advertisements all over social media. And so I have to say something. In June, I got a cease and desist from Quince. You might know Quince as the brand that claims to make super sustainable, ethical, fair clothing for a ridiculously low price. This cease and desist came basically the same week of my television appearance cancellation, but I didn't say anything about it at the time because it's scary to get a cease and desist, especially if you don't have a ton of money or support or like a lawyer on call. I don't have a lawyer on call. This cease and desist was about an article that went up on EcoCult in 2021. It was written by our contributor, a Chinese-American contributor, and that was important to me because Quince is actually located in China. And I wanted her to find out whether or not Quince is as sustainable as they say they are, because I had gotten a question from readers, and there's just something sort of fishy about all of this. And so she looked into it, and her conclusion was no, they're not. This company is greenwashing. This article was fact-checked like almost all of our articles is. That should be enough to protect us from a defamation suit because like we did our best. Like we didn't with malice get something wrong. Like we actually, EcoCult, we are very interested in figuring out what the truth is. And so, sorry, I have like notes in front of me because I want to make sure I get this right. This cease and desist said that our article was defamatory, false, misleading, harassing, and they demanded I take it down. And I can see why they would want me to take it down because it has been the 6th most popular article on our site for the past year. About 1,500 people per year are asking Google if Quince is as sustainable as it says it is and finding themselves reading this article and getting the answer. We did contact Quince for comment, asking them a bunch of questions and like being like, hey, this seems weird. Like what about this? What about that? And they just responded with sort of like marketing generalities and not really answering our questions. I've gotten things wrong in articles before. EcoCult has gotten things wrong in articles before. It happens, even if you're trying your best. And every time that has happened, even brands that are like super pissed about the overall investigative article that I've done, they'll contact me or they'll contact my editor and they'll be like, hey, we think you got these things wrong. And I'll look at them and my editor will look at them and we'll say like, okay, like, did we actually get this wrong? And if we did, like if a number is wrong or like it's not quite what happened, we'll issue a correction. So they'll change it in an article, and then at the bottom it'll say like, we changed this article to update, we regret, blah, 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 blah. Quince has never reached out before having this like budget law firm in Oklahoma send me this cease and desist. Like it's very cynical. It's not like, oh, we're interested in you getting this right. It's like, we just don't want this article out there. Okay, so I want to go through some of this law firm's claims on behalf of Quince about what we said that was wrong and defamatory, because actually they're a little bit funny. Stating that Quince does not have an OEKO-TEX Standard 100 certification when the certification numbers can be found on its products. OEKO-TEX Standard 100 certification means that the product itself has been tested and found to be free of harmful substances. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, they have their certificate numbers listed right on their site? Like, okay. So I went and looked, and then I like punched them into OEKO-TEX website because you can do that. And like one of them was kind of coming up weird. So I emailed OEKO-TEX because they're like, hey, something's weird, like email us and we'll look at it for you. So I emailed them. So OEKO-TEX responded and they said that Quince was using the certificate numbers wrong and they shouldn't be listing them on the site because they were for like the factory and not the product, which is an important distinction, and that their lawyers were going to get in touch with Quince and tell them how to properly use their brand name, OEKO-TEX, and these certificate numbers and everything. So that was ironic. Okay, the second thing that is truly hilarious about this cease and desist, and indicates to me that the lawyer who wrote it up and the brand that asked them to write it up like actually don't know anything about sustainability whatsoever. Is they said that I was wrong, or the contributor and EcoCult was wrong in stating that Quince's shipping by air is inherently problematic, while overlooking the fact that shipping by sea has numerous environmental woes. And then they go on to like talk about ship, like offloading the ship and trucks and whatever. I have never heard one serious person say that shipping by air is better for the environment. Shipping by plane is better for the environment than putting everything on a boat and shipping it across the ocean, which takes like a couple weeks. One study said that air shipping has 14 times the emissions, or causes 14 times the emissions than shipping by sea. So shipping by air is really, really bad for the environment. So much so that like there have been like reports about which brands are shipping most by air and how bad it is. A lot of brands will say like they're reducing their emissions by trying to avoid shipping by air as much as possible. And here Quince is in the cease and desist being like, no, like really, it's great. The other thing they said is that Quince's process limits the environmental impact from transportation by eliminating the middleman, and that Quince produces its products based on demand and does not overproduce. Factually untrue. Our fact checker had ordered, or her mom had ordered something from Quince, and so she looked at the shipping label, and the shipping label said that the product was manufactured in Shenzhen, China, and then it was shipped at some point it made it to Taipei, Taiwan, and it was shipped from Taipei, Taiwan to San Francisco in mid-2020. And then from there, in 2021, so like a year later, it traveled from a distribution center in Edison, New Jersey, to the local destination of the person who ordered it, and then was delivered locally by USPS. So how is that made on demand and cutting out the middleman and direct to consumer? It pinged all over the world for at least a year before it made it to the person who ordered it. So then they said one thing we got wrong was that alleging that the crafting costs of its Mongolian cashmere products are too low for industry standards. They have like this little thing that breaks down the cost of everything. And at the time, Quince said that its crafting cost for a V-neck cashmere sweater was $0. Fun fact, brands are allowed to say something is Mongolian cashmere when it's from Inner Mongolia, which is a province of China, and not actual democratic country Mongolia, where like the best cashmere is from. So that's an interesting fact for you. Anyway, a pro bono lawyer from Authors Guild looked at this and they said, not only is truth a defense, they said I could probably, if they came after me, I could probably countersue under New York's anti-SLAPP laws, which means that they are strategically trying to threaten me into silence with a lawsuit that has no merit. My opinion, Quince is just Shein with cashmere.